actually the distinction between savikalpa and nirvikalpa, as if that's the whole story, is not quite right. Even Patanjali mentions a whole lot of different samadhis, but unfortunately he doesn't define the difference between them. He just says then there's this samadhi and there's that samadhi and kevala samadhi and whatever. So he creates more confusion than clarity, actually. And many have misunderstood it, that there's samadhi, oneness with the self, with fluctuations of the mind or without fluctuations of the mind, and that's it. The fact is, you can merge completely with the self and still have fluctuations of the mind, because there's no identification with it. You're not caught up in it. And then you can have a totally quiet mind and not be merged into the self. So savikalpa samadhi can at times be a higher state than nirvikalpa. You see? It's not so simple as many teachers, yoga teachers, want to make it. And then, of course, there's Sahaja samadhi, which I would say is the correct word for the log state or the bright, because it's a natural, spontaneous state of merging with the self. Sahaja means natural. It's just your natural state of being. You've done nothing to be it. It's just grabbed you. And in Sahaja samadhi, there can be thoughts, or it could be thoughtless. It's not so simple as a with or without fluctuations. No. And just because you can quiet the mind in meditation, it doesn't mean you're deeper than one who can't. Depends on if you identify with it or not. You can be totally identified with the quiet mind, and that is worse than being totally unidentified with a noisy mind. And it's probably easier to disidentify from a somewhat noisy mind than a silent mind, because the noisy mind is so obvious. And it's so obviously stupid and silly and playing games. It's more difficult to see if the mind is calm and quiet. So all these yogi teachers and non-dualists and all that claptrap, they oversimplify things that are super simple, but not simplistic in the way they present it. And the simplicity is either you're identified with something that's not you or you're not. Period. That's the only thing. Or maybe you should rephrase, because the detached mind is still mind.
I mean, not thinking that it is the self, but you can have an illusion that the mind is now quiet and it's super silent, and this is it. But it's actually maybe not it. You're still identifying with the silent mind. So what's the difference then between the self and the detached?
Well, you answered it yourself in your question.
Oh.
It's an illusion. You're fooling yourself. Or the mind is.
Actually, it's a trick of the mind to take hold of you.
Yeah. It's a grandiose, narcissistic load of crap. And the mind loves that. The mind just loves to think it's got it. Now I know what enlightenment is. Now I understand it. I'm so close to total enlightenment. Well, you obviously have a temporary oneness or close to oneness with the self as a being present in and as the physical body, not in the mind. It's more all-pervading when you have that bliss state. The trick is to surrender to it and have it constantly. And I know you can't just do that, but with practice, one day it will snap and never reverse. But it is a samadhi experience, absolutely. But you can't classify it whether it's savikalpa or nirvikalpa. Well, it's not sahaja, because sahaja doesn't go away. But savikalpa and nirvikalpa are temporary samadhis, and samadhi means, of course, a unity with the self. But, and that's why they qualify the samadhis, because it can be a samadhi within duality, or it can be a samadhi beyond duality. But the experience of love bliss is the same. You see? So be very happy and just surrender and merge with it when you have those states that well up within. It's great. So at that point, which is the bliss state, which is kind of ecstatic, it's restless and a bit agitated. So you have two options, three actually. You can either express it and laugh at the CEO of the company or whatever, and or you can go back out of it and into the mind, or you can surf on the way beyond it into a silent, peaceful space of pure bliss. That's beyond ecstasy. Ecstasy is like a gateway. You know, it's like, and then suddenly, and then you go through it. But most people, they take this to be it, and then they slide back. You have to stay with this, and yet surf beyond it, so it calms us down, and is peaceful, yet the essence of blissful ecstasy without agitation at the same time. That's how you should practice when you have those ecstasies. Practice surfing on the wave into silence without losing any of it. It can be quite contagious if you can embody this energy behind the bliss. And that is actually very much the same as going beyond. And once you can embody it, it's present as a radiance throughout your physical presence. Others can pick it up. And then they either get irritated at you, which is probably the most often case, or they get joyful and experience some bliss and